don't think it'd be a good idea to let Tommy carry this one home. Here's your look at new Sideshow Collectibles, the Halloween 1978 Jack-O-Lantern 1-to-1 scale collectible. Sideshow and Premium Collectible Studios are proud to present the Halloween Jack-O-Lantern life-size collectible. First appearing in the opening credits of the classic 1978 slasher Halloween, this distinctly carved pumpkin is faithfully recreated to bring an extra scare factor to your holiday decor. Featuring an LED light-up candle to offer an eerie glow to your spooky setup, this Jack-O-Lantern is a must-have for any Halloween fan. If you haven't been trick-or-treated to death just yet, I know we're kind of past things over for the All Hallows season, and we're now moving our focus over to the seasonal seasons of December. This one is available, or was at least available, on Sideshow Collectibles website. Dead apparently did come to my little town sheriff because it cost me $122.83. Granted, be a little bit less if you're a U.S. collector. What was funny, though, about this is that I remember pre-ordering it, but I honestly couldn't even tell you when I paid the monthly installments. Sure, setting up things on Sideshow Collectibles, you can also opt to pay the monthly installments, but I don't ever recall paying any of those. It must have been one of those things where I just noticed right away that my credit card statement seemed a little higher that month. As sure enough, though, I got a notification saying that this was dropped off at my post office, and it said Sideshow Collectibles. I thought to myself, I don't recall ever buying anything for Sideshow other than the two things that I had ordered or pre-ordered a while ago. But again, I must have been paying the installment plans and had no idea at all. $122.83, though. That does seem a little high considering this is made of PCS plastic. It is generally quite light, too. It's only a little over 4 pounds. I think it's like 4 pounds 90. But we're going to go ahead and get things measured off now. This is actually a 1-to-1 scale. When I do get a chance, and I'll be bringing this in a second, the Halloween 2 Jack-O-Lantern that we got from Spirit Halloween, you're going to notice, though, there's a size difference between this pumpkin being, again, 1-to-1 scale and the Halloween 2, which wasn't really, again, like 1-to-1 scale. As for how tall the statue, or how tall the collectible here of the Jack-O-Lantern actually is, if the tape measure is going to tell us anything, and I'd like to hope that it is, it's telling us that this is 12 inches in height, or working roughly out to be about 31.5 centimeters tall. I have to be really careful sliding this over. I'm not so much worried, though, about the Jack-O-Lantern from Halloween 1, because, again, it's only made of plastic. I am certainly, though, concerned when it comes to the Jack-O-Lanterns, especially the state of that, considering, though, I think it was made of polyresin stone. A height certainly differences between the two. I mean, this one's certainly a lot heavier there as well. Now, I was a little kind of initially disappointed, thinking like I was kind of hoping, though, that the Halloween 1978 Jack-O-Lantern was going to be about the same size as Spirit Halloween, just so I could have them side by side. But I guess in the end, though, 1-to-1 scale is still pretty cool because, again, like it's the size what at least we think this pumpkin should have been, even though we really only see it at the beginning opening credits. As for the Jack-O-Lantern itself, I think it faithfully recreates the one that we see in the opening scene, down to the fact, in fact, that they've actually carved in that nice shape that everybody tries to replicate. I even tried to do it this year, and I failed miserably. But this is a plastic, a PCS plastic, so getting this out of the packaging, I mean, it's very light. Now, they did actually, what was funny, though, is when I got the box and I kind of brought it home, as soon as I saw the size of it, I knew it was going to be the Jack-O-Lantern, because the other thing that I had ordered, which again, I'm sure I'm probably paying the installment plans for it right now, is a specifically shaped rectangular box. And so again, like when I saw this, almost a perfect square, I knew right away it was the Jack-O-Lantern from Halloween 1978. It is light, though. They did actually include some packing peanuts in there, but when I was kind of picking it up, I noticed it was rattling. And I had, again, like the nightmares of my experience with the first Halloween 2 Jack-O-Lantern from Spirit Halloween, where the shipper sent it to me and it was completely shattered. So picking it up, though, I mean, again, shaking it around, I'm thinking, why is this rattling inside? But again, it was only the packing peanuts. Some assembly not so much required. I mean, basically all it is just wrapped inside of its own like body bag. One thing, though, you may have to do, and I would certainly recommend if you're looking to have this on display, is that the bag then tucks into the top lid. The lid opens up, and then you basically will just pull the bag out from that. The inside, though, of the lid, I mean, it's okay. It doesn't really have like a finished look to the pumpkin. I mean, that's a pretty clean finish. Anybody's taken the time to clean well, I guess I do too. I mean, when I carve a Jack-O-Lantern, if anybody was really all that interested, I like to usually cut the top off or cut like the bottom of this off so it's nice and smooth. One thing I do that Sideshow did as well is that if you angle the cut of the lid, that way when you put it back down on the pumpkin, it's going to be a lot easier to lift up. Used to be with a person that actually would just cut it straight, and then they would always have a hard time trying to get the lid off. No, you got to cut that on an angle. One thing, though, you may notice as I spin this around is that there is this kind of indentation right here. This would be the part that actually you'll line things up when you actually put the lid on, but even then, the lid doesn't sit on completely flush. So nice detail is done on the top. I can say this is a no-no right away. If I ever was to pick a pumpkin from a patch, it would have to have a stem. This one doesn't have it at all. It does leave behind what would have been the rooted area of where the stem would have grown out. I think they've nicely done some airbrushing of some darker orange in there. So, I mean, it has some nice paintwork to it. I almost kind of feel, though, like as a whole, the pumpkin needed to have a little bit more contrasting colors. Like there's just so much of one color orange. There's a little indication markings of like a slightly darker orange, but it's certainly nowhere near as good as it does look online. I mean, again, like story of any collectible, if you order it online, it always looks better in a publicity shot than it does in hand. But when you are putting this in, though, actually one thing you'll want to do first is when you take this lid off, this would be the easiest way to access the cord inside. You may also be able to see, too, like maybe you can see, there's the candle. There's the candle inside. They've sculpted a candle, and then they've got the LED light sitting inside of that. But then this is the easiest way to fish your hand in. No, you're not going to be pulling out any pumpkin guts, but you want to fish out the cord. Now, I have one real issue with the cord, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that more in a moment. But this sort of helps to guide the cord out from the front of the mouth, which you probably can't really see right now, but you have to pull the cord out. There is also this orange dusting that you'll notice on the inside of this, that when you take the cord out the first time, I don't know if I have anything left on here, there's sort of like this kind of orange powder that you have to dust off, just clean off your cord before you go ahead and plug this in. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and put the lid back on. Now, the lid, if we look at the top again of this, see how it's kind of more of a circle all the way around, and then there's this one indentation right here. That's supposed to be the indentation that lines up then with this ledge that sticks out. But when you do put it down, it doesn't sit. Like that's everything lined up right now, but you can still see it leaves a lip. And I've tried to kind of level things off, kind of make it completely flat. But I don't know if it's supposed to be like, it's probably supposed to have a little ledge like this, but you're not going to be having it completely flat on the pumpkin. There's always going to be like a little piece of that sticks up. I'm sure that's not going to be a deal breaker though for many. Now, the actual cord, here's some of the issues I really have with the cord. Now, the cord is USB powered, so I mean, that's not a bad thing at all. If you happen to have yourself like a hub, I've got myself a USB hub just over here so I can plug this right in. I don't have to you get myself like one of those cord plug adapters. You also get yourself with that a switch. Now the switch is right here. There's two settings to the switch. One is just to turn on the jack-o'-lantern, and then one to press it again. It actually kind of glows like it does with a candle. So it'll kind of glow up and glow down. It'll kind of pulsate and flicker like a natural candle would. The one issue I kind of have with this, though, is the way they've placed the cord. If you look on the bottom of this, the cord jets basically out from the bottom of the base. I think that, first of all, that's the wrong place to put it. Had they found maybe perhaps a way to put the hole on the back of the pumpkin where the cord could have fed out that way, I know, yes, it would have then mean there's no way to store the cord inside the pumpkin, but who's really going to be doing that anyways? I feel one downside of having this sticking out the bottom is that it always has to unfortunately sit on the cord. So it's going to, first of all, look ugly because the cord's always going to be on the bottom. But also, too, you're putting weight on that cord all the time. Now, the pumpkin's not heavy. I mean, again, like a little less than 5 pounds. But even still, like, I would rather have had, really, the cord sticking out the back of the pumpkin with the hole than actually just sticking out on the bottom. We're going to illuminate this, though, in a moment. First, though, getting a closer look at the details here. Again, we've got ourselves the off-circular shaped eyes. What I do really think that they've done a nice job is actually carving the interior flesh to this, so it actually does look like not a knife has penetrated the skin of the pumpkin. There's indentations where indentations really should be, some markings there on the front of the pumpkin. Again, you got that trademark knife nose there on the front, and some really nice sculpted teeth, even though, again, like the mouth looks a little lopsided. There's, again, imperfections all across the pumpkin. Now, if you've already, again, seen images of this or watched videos of it online, you know, too, that if you spin the pumpkin around on the back, there is, very brutally, I have to say, a carved out shape of the pumpkin face that we see from the poster. And then we have ourselves the hand and the knife. I'm honestly not really sure how I feel about this. I think in one way, I mean, I feel like they're sort of just adding things on top of the sculpting just to inflate the price of the pumpkin. Being this, again, is $123 Canadian. I don't know if I would necessarily say, like, do I have any interest at all to ever display this pumpkin from the back? I would say no. I mean, it's fine that it's there. But to be honest, though, if you look far enough away, it doesn't really look like anything. It doesn't necessarily look like the transition pumpkin to knife. It looks like, if anything, a dog's gotten a hold of this or somebody's just hacked it away with a knife instead. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug things in. Again, we kind of already looked at the fact that the cord The cord, again, I don't really like where it's placed, but we're going to kind of move away from that. I want to actually show you also the inside of this, because there's the melted candle, at least partially melted. They have at least replicated the candle that the pumpkin has inside. I kind of think, though, that like if you're looking at it straight on, I would have really wanted, and I would have to go back and look at the opening credits again, but I feel like the candle is a little too far to the one side. Maybe it's supposed to be there. But the candle itself is molded here, and again in plastic, white plastic. And you've got yourself the flickering light, or what will be a flickering light in a second. So that's overall like the pumpkin. It's light. If you wanted, if I was to describe sort of the material that I'm looking at here, or the way I'm feeling it, it kind of reminds me of like those Santas that you put out. And speaking again of Christmas, the Santas that you put out, those blow molds of Santa, kind of feels like that same kind of plastic. It's not super flimsy. Like it does have a quality to it, but it's very light. It is a very, very light jack-o'-lantern. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to take the cord here and I'm going to plug it in. You just can't see it right now. I'm going to plug this into the USB port, and then we're going to turn this on. Now, you may or may not be able to see this right away. I'm also going to cut the lights in a second so you guys can get a better look for this. But so again, like there's two options, just to bring the pumpkin a little bit closer to you. It isn't so much, though, that it's an on and off switch in the sense that you have to depress it, but it's not like a switch that you flick forward for one setting and flick down for the other. You have to press it once to turn it on, and you press it the second time then to flicker the light. Here's the interior of it so you guys can see. I think the flame looks nice, and the top of the candle does also illuminate, just with the translucency of that plastic that they've used. The interior of the pumpkin, for what at least I'm hoping you guys can see, I mean, it looks okay. You know, again, it looks like a pumpkin really should. Most of it, of course, all the detailing and the paint is more focused on the front or on the outside than it is on the inside. One question I'm sure you guys are probably going to be asking yourselves too is, does it illuminate the back? Well, we're going to also cut the lights in a second. I'll show you guys whether it does or whether it doesn't. But in the meantime, though, again, like let's look at it from the front, and we'll kind of just tilt it up just a bit so you guys can see the interior. So again, like this is the steady light. This is the light that just continues to illuminate. It's not going to flicker necessarily. If you do want the flickering effect, though, you're going to press the button again. I'm hoping you guys can see that. See how the light kind of flickers low, flickers brightly again. I mean, it's nice. I like that. But again, I feel like maybe necessarily it need to have a way that the exit of the cord could have worked a little bit better, so it wasn't just on the bottom. I'm not a big fan of that. But again, for what it is, you know, again, like it's not a bad looking jack-o'-lantern. And, you know, to be fair too, being it's 1-to-1 scale, if you want the closest thing to replicating that original opening credits of jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, this is the closest thing you're going to get for that. Whether I would still say it's worth $122, again, I think it's more like $85 for the US. I think that's still a little high. I think they probably could have either done that maybe 2/3 the price. So instead of $85, I think for the fact that they're using PCS plastic, they probably could easily have sold this thing more closer to around $60. It's still not going to break the bank. I mean, if you're a big collector of Halloween merchandise as a whole, I think an $85 jack-o'-lantern, or for me, at least in Canada, $122, still not a bad price at all. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to cut the lights so you guys can get the full effect of how this thing looks with the lights turned off. And then again, I'll alternate between the lights so you guys can see the differences there. And we'll also spin the pumpkin around so you can see it from the back. Now we're in total darkness. Let's go ahead and flick the light. So the first light, again, will be a full illumination. And while we're also at this too, let's go ahead and spin this around so you guys can see. Does it illuminate on the back? It does. You may not, though, be able to see it as well as I'm seeing it right now. They have made at least the plastic thin enough so that the light does penetrate through the plastic and you can see the illumination on the back. Although, again, you're probably not going to be able to see it as well as me. We can also lift up the lid, too, so you guys can see what it looks like on the inside. Nice and bright. Nice yellow light, too, so that works really well to give that ominous look. Let's go ahead and put the lid back on. Now, the lid's going to be a little harder to see, of course, in the dark here. And then we'll also spin the pumpkin back around. So that's the full illumination. To then change it over to the flickering light, we're only then just going to press the button again. And now you've got the illumination. Most people that would have this in their collection space likely wouldn't be cutting the lights completely because you're losing all the look of the image of the pumpkin all around it. You're only then seeing the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. But on a low lit occasion, if you have your room just dark enough that you can kind of still see the pumpkin and see the illumination, it's really quite effective for what it's doing right now. My guess is Sideshow Collectibles decided, though, to have the cord on the bottom of the base rather than the back was so that the pumpkin looked finished from all sides. Granted, I'm sure most collectors probably would end up only displaying it from the front anyways, but if you wanted to see the butchered back side of it, at least then you're not going to have to worry about having a cord jetting out the back. One trade-off, though, a negative trade-off that goes with that, is that the cord causes the pumpkin never to sit flat. It always kind of feels like it's rocking around on top of that cord. And even though this is PCS plastic, which is generally light, I mean, this pumpkin's only 5 pounds, a little less than that. Having that sitting, though, on the cord, but the cord has to be curled, I wonder if it's going to pinch that over time, causing maybe the cord to malfunction over a while. The pumpkin also, if you ever want to store the cord back into the pumpkin, it has to go, unfortunately, inside the mouth, which then makes it look like the pumpkin's got something dangling out the back of its teeth, or just above its teeth. Now, this doesn't look, though, as good as it does online. I mean, that's the story with any collectible that you're buying online. It's never going to look as good as the publicity shots that they shoot. I mean, they get a skilled photographer. They lit this just right. I don't think that the colors look, though, as good as it did on Sideshow's site, where you got like a lot of the darker colors of the pumpkin orange, and you got some nice little colors where all those markings would have been on the pumpkin kind of come across more of a really dark color. I don't get like as much of that really seeing it when I'm seeing it physically in hand. For, again, like an $85, you could be the judge for yourself whether that's worth the price or not. I think for the fact that it's at least 1-to-1 scale certainly is one selling point that goes for it. Unlike the Spirit Halloween, Halloween 2 Jack-o'-lantern, which was smaller in size. This one's fun because at least you can have it displayed. I wouldn't certainly recommend putting it outside for trick-or-treating, but to have this on your collection shelf or on the floor near your movies, I mean, it's a nice little pumpkin, and I guess it's not really going to break the bank, even though I end up paying a little bit more for it, $122.83. How, again, like I end up paying in monthly installment plans, and it just floated under radar. Like, seriously, I got myself a shipping notification saying that this thing was dropped off. It said Sideshow Collectibles currently at your post office. And I'm like, what? What was from Sideshow Collectibles? And then, of course, when I saw this square-shaped box, I knew right away. Picking it up, though, and rattling it around, I thought, oh, no. Is this thing going to be broken again? One thing, at least, though, unlike the other jack-o'-lantern, which I would never give to Tommy Doyle, the way he gets tripped and falls right on the pumpkin, I feel a little safer. I still feel uneasy, but I feel a little more confident giving this one for him to carry home rather than the one from Spirit Halloween. Bad news, though, unfortunately, again, this one has sold out on on Sideshow Collectibles site, but you can, though, join the wait list, so if it happens to be back in stock, you'll be notified right away. What do you guys, though, think of the jack-o'-lantern from the 1978 Halloween? Have you guys had the chance to pick this one up for yourself, or again, do you just think, like, for the price of an $85 pumpkin, you maybe wish that it was a little bit better? What do you guys think of this? Let me know down below. If you guys, in the meantime, did enjoy this video, do it a solid and throw it a like. If you guys want to stick around for more so, I hope so. There's going to be more videos coming your way, so as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.